Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I was discussed about that the discovery of the accelerating universe in 1998, and that this is the most exciting discovery of the past century. And though many discovery took places, the first is the formulation of the general relativity, then applying it to the universe, and prediction of the black hole, gravitational waves, and the discovery of many galaxies and many planets, stars. So much happened, but we end up with the discovery which left us with the most challenging problem. Why this is the most challenging problem? Because the concept of the dark energy is not explained by the general theory of relativity. So that was my idea. What I have shown that the general theory of relativity works well in many phenomena, and it is a well-tested theory which passes all the predictions of this theory came true. But the concept of dark energy is not explained alone by the general theory of relativity, unless we know the nature of the dark energy. But still it gives a hope. And what is the hope? That actually I will discuss that it was the Einstein blunder that he added the cosmology constant on the left hand side of the his equation to make the universe static. But the same constant, when you move to the right hand side means if you take it to the matter side, then it becomes the most suitable candidates for the dark energy. That we don't need to any energy, different energy, because this energy has not detected by any observer or any lab in nowhere. There is no observatory which can detect the existence of the dark energy. So here, after 1998, it's almost 100 years.
Sorry, sir. Sorry for disturbance.
Yeah.
Screen is not shared.
Oh, sorry. Let me share again. Yeah. Okay, now is it visible?
Kindly make full screen, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I ended with the slides of the dark energy. Now here, the cosmological constant return. Return means we will start with again that cosmological constant with a new flavor. That almost after 80 years after the prediction of the expanding universe, we end up with the last century, 20th century, with this discovery. The dark energy concept is associated with the property of vacuum. Einstein also believed that the vacuum is the empty space. When there is no matter in the space, that is known as the vacuum. And even the empty space has some property. And what is that property? It has the property that it can repel the space-time. Okay, what does it mean? Because if there is a matter inside the space-time, it has the gravitational force. It attracts the matters towards each other. But the space-time itself, or the empty space, or the vacuum, it has a propensity which repels that space-time from each distant apart. So this dark energy can be associated with the property of vacuum. And what the cosmological constant is the most successful explanation for that energy. So this cosmological constant, which just in the few slides before I showed, it was here. Now, if you just edit this on the right hand side with the energy momentum tensor. So this is the matter part. Matter part means there is a matter inside the universe. What does it mean, matter? Matter is, as I am sitting on this chair, I'm working with this laptop. There is a room. This is all matter. The stars and galaxies, whatever we see, that is matter. But that is known as the ordinary matter. It is dark energy is nothing like this. It is different story, because this all matter has the mass, and mass has the gravitational force property or propensity. But dark energy actually repels. It has the opposite behavior of the gravitational force. And there is another kind of matter that is known as the dark matter. I have not discussed, and I will not discuss that about that because that is another story. But I will talk about this dark energy, because what is the solution of this accelerating universe? So when you add this cosmological constant here, so the same equation I showed in the previous slide, accelerating equation. So this quantity was negative. Okay, now adding this lambda, capital lambda here, it gives a positive quantity now on the right hand side. And now when it becomes positive, so it sometimes it is dominating. So in the earlier times, suppose this density is very, very high, pressure is very, very high. So this quantity will dominate. When the negative quantity will dominate, and the acceleration will be slowed down. So in the past, universe was slowing down. But after a certain time, what happens? When the density and pressure becomes low, so this quantity becomes dominant, starts dominating. When this quantity starts dominating, the quantity becomes positive. And when it becomes positive, so this acceleration becomes positive. And positive acceleration means as you are pressing the accelerator pedal in your car. When you press the accelerator pedal in car speeds up. So this is how the same constant can accelerate the universe. Means Einstein made this blunder 80 years before. But the same constant, if instead of making a static universe, if it is added to the right hand side, it can explain the new discovery 80 years after discovery of the accelerating universe. So this is how I made it. The universe started accelerating when cosmological starts dominating, and Einstein 80 years old blunder explained the discovery of 1998. So that's why actually Einstein is known as the greatest scientist, because he made a such theory whose predictions are going true after 100 years. So this is the very exciting theory, and this is the most exciting thing in this field. Here is I have shown the energy distribution of the universe. If then the astrophysicists, cosmologists, or astronomers, when they estimate what is the budget of the total universe, then they come with a very surprising facts. What is the surprising fact? The normal matter I am talking about, that all the matter on the Earth planet, even all the planets, even the stars, even the Milky Way, all the galaxies in the universe, all the stars, whatever the visible is there, that comes into the category of normal matter. And very surprising is that that is only the 5% of the total matter in the universe. So this is the most surprising things. And 26% is the dark matter. I told you that I will not discuss about it. Otherwise, that will be a different story. But the dark energy, which is needed to accelerate the universe, that must be 69%. It is almost 70%. And the most surprising thing is that we cannot see it, whether it is exist or not. Okay, but there is some factor, 70% factor must be there to accelerate the universe. Because we know so far we have the laws of the physics that the matter has the gravitational force. Then why the universe is rebelling? Why the galaxies are moving apart? Why the distance between the galaxies is increasing? Because they have the gravitational force. They must come together, but they are moving apart. So because of this source, dark energy, that is the 70%. And this is the most surprising thing. This is the most exciting thing. We don't know about the dark energy. So the next question is, what is this dark energy? Okay, so the research is going on about what is this dark energy. So science never solves a problem without creating them. So whenever we know something, so we have more unknown things to us. And what is the problem? I told you that lambda can explain the cosmological constant which Einstein added in the field equation to make the universe static. It can explain the dark energy concept, but there is a very challenging problem with this. What is that problem? The problem is that there are two branches of the physics. One is the cosmology, astrophysics, or astronomy, whatever you say. And there is another branch of the physics, that is quantum physics. Okay. So in the quantum physics, if the cosmological constant is there, so that cosmological constant is also associated when you study the small scales things like atoms, protons, neutrons, or now electrons and protons are made of quarks. Protons are made of quarks, protons and neutrons, that are the combination of quarks. And even now the scientists are going into the deep. They are made of strings. When you go into the so smaller scales, and when you compare the same cosmological constant from the quantum physics and from the cosmological scale, means on the large scale, so the value of this ratio comes 10 to power 120 different. Means the prediction of this quantum physics cosmological constant is 10 to power 120 times the cosmological constant on the large scale. So this is the most worst prediction in the physics. This is the discrepancy which is known as the fine-tuning problem. And I have mentioned here the current standard model of cosmology, which is known as the lambda CDM model. Why lambda CDM? Lambda is for dark energy, CD for cold dark matter. So this is the whole energy budget in the universe, which is the most successful and acceptable model, which is known as the Big Bang theory. But it is split with the cosmological constant problem, or it is also known as the fine-tuning problem, because there is a not fine-tuning between the physics on the large scale and the physics on the small scales. There is a huge gap, and the gap is not very tiny. This is 10 to power 120. It's a very, very large quantity. A discrepancy that has been called the worst theoretical prediction in the history of the physics, and we don't have any answer so far. Dark energy causes the acceleration of the universe, but we don't know what causes the dark energy, because we don't know what is the source of the dark energy. It is originated a vivid debate in the regard to the nature of dark energy, and the discussion is still open. The widely accepted possibility may be the dynamical dark energy candidates, but this is the basic shortcomings of the general relativity so far. Unanswered questions remain, the most fundamental being how GR can be reconciled with the laws of quantum physics to provide a complete and self-consistent theory of quantum gravity. So we need a theory which can agree on the large scale and on the small scale. We don't have any unified theory. And how gravity can be unified with the three non-gravitational forces like a strong force, weak force, and electromagnetic force. So, so far we have some alternatives. We have the modifications of the theories of gravitation. As I mentioned in my CV, you told that I am working in the modified theories of gravitation. So I work in these modified theories of gravitation, which are the modification of the general relativity in some sense. And there are some alternative theories which are proposed in the time frame in the last century, apart from the general relativity. If you don't want to if you considering that general relativity is correct, there is no need of modified theories of gravitation. So we have some hypothetical candidates of the dark energy, which are known as the name is quintessence, phantom, Chaplin, field, and etc. But I'm not going into the details of that. That will be a research topic. So I'm not here to discuss my research. Just I am giving the idea what is going in this field. The future of the cosmology beyond Einstein. So cosmology provides a lot of evidences for the physics beyond the standard model, and the upcoming observations can text ideas about the nature of the dark energy. What are those upcoming observations I will discuss, and these observations can give the answer that what powered the Big Bang, because of course some layman people actually ask why Big Bang happened, how did the universe begin, and what happened before the Big Bang. So we don't have actually any answer of these questions, but In future, maybe we can give the answer of these questions. In the future, this is not the part of my research or this talk maybe, but it is necessary to discuss, as I discussed in the beginning, that the theoretical physics or theoretical cosmology is incomplete without the observational astronomy or astrophysics. So here I have discussed a few things, that these are the present and future telescopes which are working and will be working in the future. And these telescope, the observations from these telescopes can give the answer of few of these questions. Basically, the biggest question, that the question of dark energy. What is the dark energy? So here I have put this in the reverse order. So this is the from the bottom. It is a very large telescope. It is around 8-meter telescope. So when I'm taking 8-meter telescope, so you will have after a few slides that how these powerful telescopes are these. And it is already working from 1998 to 2000. And there is another telescope known as Gran Telescopia Canaris, and it is 10-meter telescope. It is working from 2007. Then there is a Keck telescope. I will discuss about it. This is working from this period. And this is the South African Large Telescope. It is put in the South Africa. And this is working from 2005. Then we have a Giant Magellan Telescope, GMT. And this is 24-meter. This is a very huge telescope. And it is not started, but the work, all these three telescopes, the work are building up. And it will work will be work starting in the 2019. And this is the 30-meter telescope. It is also bigger than. It is 2017. It will work. Maybe these are all expected years. And this is extremely large telescope. It is 40-meter telescope, 2017. So a few of these telescopes are put it on the surface of the Earth, and few of these telescopes are put it in the sky. So for a complete list, you can refer this link where the complete list is given. But I'm just giving you the idea that I have told about the 8-meter telescope. I started with the 8-meter telescope, but actually I visited in Pune. There is an observatory known as Girvali Observatory, and there an optical. This is an optical astronomical observatory run by Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. It is, in short, it is known as IUCA. It is situated in Pune, and I visited that observatory in 2018. Here it is me, and this is a telescope. It is 2-meter telescope. So only 2-meter telescope is so huge that this is the upper part of the telescope where the lens is open. So this you can see the size of the 2-meter telescope. So this is used to take the astronomical events and astrophysics objects in the sky by this university. And I talk about the Gran Telescopio Canaris, GTC. This is the world's largest single aperture reflective optical telescope. I'm not going into the details that what is the meaning of single aperture, because otherwise it will be very long talk. It is located in the Spain. I visited Spain in 2019, I think. In 2019, I attended a conference there, but didn't get chance to visit this observatory. This is the idea that how much time it takes. So the planning of building this telescope for the construction started in 1987, and it involved 1,000 people from 100 companies, and it started in 2007. And scientific observations began in May 2009. So almost 30 years it takes to build up to come into the function, these kinds of telescopes. So this is the picture of the this telescope GTC. So you can see this is the how big it is. This is a 10-meter telescope only, and these are people are standing here. So this is the size comparison. And there is a Keck Observatory. Keck Observatory is stated in the island of Hawaii in the US state. It is situated on the 1,000 meters height, around 13,000 feet. And it is a 10-meter telescope. There are two observatories, which are known as CAP 1 and CAP 2. And earlier, up to the 1993 and 96, these were the world largest telescope. But now we have more powerful telescope, and one of them is the South African Large Telescope, which is known as the SALT. And this is the largest optical telescope in the southern hemisphere. It is a 10-meter optical telescope. Because when you build a large telescope, you cannot build a single lens or single mirror telescope, because it is not possible to construct a very large mirror. So what they do, they comprises small mirrors and then make a huge mirror. So it consists 91 hexagonal mirror segments, each of with 1 meter inscribed diameter, resulting in a total hexagonal mirror of this size. And it is located in the southern land in the semi-desert region of the Karoo in South Africa. It is the facility of South African Astronomical Observatories, which is known as SAO, and it is the National Optical Observatory of South Africa. And it enables us to imaging and spectroscopic and polarimetric analysis of the radiation from astronomical objects out of reach of the northern hemisphere. Because there, as I told that our Earth is almost spherical. So when you put some telescope on the upper hemisphere, it cannot detect the light or the radiation from the which is coming from the side of the southern hemisphere. So that's why a big telescope is placed in the southern hemisphere. And this is the site of the SALT. I wanted to visit it, but I could not so far, but I'm planning maybe in the future. And first light from this telescope come in 2005. You can have the more idea from this link about this telescope. And this is the primary mirror. As I told you, it is made of 91 1-meter mirrors, hexagonal mirror. So here, this is the, they have made a single mirror. It is a very huge one, and some person is maybe doing some work over here. And yeah, this is a very exciting one, James Webb Space Telescope. If you have interest in astronomy, then you must have idea that it is going to be launched on 22nd December, just after its countdown is begin. Its launch date is 22 December 2021, and it will be fixed in the space on the location in the between of the Earth and Sun, where the gravity force of the both planets is zero. Means it is known as the null point, L2 orbit, L2 place in technical language. So this has an aperture of around 6.5 meter and carry a suite of infrared cameras also. So apart from the optical telescope, it also has infrared cameras for making observations. And it made of 18 hexagonal mirror segments. So this is a very huge one. When they will launch it, so it can launch in this size. So what they did, they have packed this telescope in a automated frame. When it will be reached to the destination, then all the lens will open out and will be start work. So we can hope that it will be launched successfully. Stay tuned for the launching. NASA is going to launch it on 22nd. And there is another telescope, 30-meter telescope. It will start expectedly in 2027. This is known as PMT. And this is the artistic rendering, means it will be look like this. Okay. And this is another extra large telescope. This will be the largest mirror telescope in the future. It will also start in 2027. This is the world's largest optical and infrared telescope with the main mirror of 40 meters. This is also an artistic impression. This is not the real picture because it is not as built. And this ELT, there are some facts about this telescope. ELT will be more powerful than any other telescope in existence, gathering this much times more light than the human eye. This is the power of our eye, which we can see with the sky. So it will be this much time powerful than our eyes. And United Kingdom and 15 other countries are the member of this program, and it will consisting of 800 mirrors. As I told you in the previous one, that it consists 91 mirrors in the salt, but it consists 800 mirrors. And we will be positioned top of the mountain of the Chile in 2017. And it will work on to image the planets outside of our solar system to see if they could potentially host life. And this is the constructing site. It is already undergoing in the Chile. And there is another part apart from the optical telescope. This is the future program, square kilometer array. So square kilometer, as name suggests, its aperture will be almost 1 kilometer square in its area. As this is not a single machine, it will be a combination of many radio telescopes. So this is not the first of optical telescope. As I told, this is the world's largest. In future, it will be the world's largest radio telescope. When we say about the radio telescope, so they don't detect the light coming from the universe, but they detect the radio signals, radiations. It will be comprised of the two separate arrays of telescope. In the one is situated in the South Africa and another one in the Australia. And it will be have the collecting area at least 1 square kilometer. That's why its name is square kilometer array. Unlike single telescope, the SK will have a far greater surveying speed, producing 10 times the data traffic of the global internet. Global internet means so far we have the internet capacity on the earth. It will be 10 times surveying speed. And this is the single disk of square kilometer array. The construction is already going on. And it will look like this area of the discs in the very, very huge area of square kilometer area. And this is almost like it is on the size comparison. It is in 5 kilometer. The discs will be located like this. In the dense aperture, many discs will be discs will be there, and in sparse aperture, some less discs will be put it. So this is my conclusion of this talk. Supported by a global consortium, the SK will be to answer the key questions in the astrophysics and astronomy. It will look at the role of the dark energy and dark matter in our universe, and enable scientists to trace the evolution of magnetic fields and probe the formation of molecules that are the essential for life. And through advancing technology, engineering, and collaboration between countries all over the world, these telescopes are driving forward new fields of astronomical exploration. And together, all these powerful telescopes will tell a story about our universe, the real story, that how it evolved and what will be the future. So for this talk, I'm stopping here. And for the software part, I can discuss later. If you have queries related to this talk, then you can ask.
Participants having any questions, you can ask me.
So I think there is no question.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay. So let me start the second part. When we do the research in cosmology, so we need also the help of some softwares. What actually I told you, if I go back to those equations, so I talk about the simplest equations here. These are the simplest equations like this. This is the simplest one. We can predict that the universe is accelerating or decelerating. Similarly, the second equation, this equation, Bell's equation. This is almost the simplest one. We can tell that whether the universe is expanding or contracting. But as I told, I am working in the modified theories of gravitation. When you modify the gravity or general relativity, or there are some alternative theories of gravity, so these equations becomes very complicated. And when these equations become complicated, they give rise to the very complicated differential equations. They cannot be solved analytically sometimes. So what we do, this looks simple equation, but in some cases it becomes very, very complicated. For in this talk also, I talk about the space-time, which is very homogeneous and isotropic. But when you study the universe very specific area, that is not very homogeneous and isotropic. It may be the inhomogeneous, it may be the anisotropic. So in that case, these equations becomes complicated. So those complicated equations are solved by the help of some softwares. And basically, I use two softwares, Maple and Mathematica. And the other thing is that when you do research in this field, and you have to present your data or your results. So sometimes it is always better to present your results in the graph format. So that is required the help of the software. Okay, so basically I use two software. One is Maple and one is Mathematica. And it does not matter that if you are doing research in this cosmology only, if you are doing the research in any area, those softwares can be helpful for you, just if you want to explore those software. And the second thing is, apart from the research, suppose you are just teaching, then for the teaching, if you want to teach the students in a very interactive manner, then those softwares are very useful. Okay, so let me start with the Maple. Then later I will discuss about the Mathematica. I have installed the software. If you want to install, then because this is actually both softwares are paid, so they are absolutely very expensive. Even in Indian rupees, it's cost around 2 lakh, 3 lakh, like this. So individually we cannot purchase, but for the individual purpose, when you just Google it out, then you can have the cracked version of the software. So I have also downloaded it of 2018, and it works well for me. So I just started this Maple software here. If you can see my screen, so it looks like this. And here,
sorry, sir, screen is not visible. That software what?
Okay. Okay. Let me do it. I think I have to stop the slides and then I have to do it again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Okay. Let me start it again. Let me close this. And let me close this also. Okay. So I am just starting it again. Yeah. It's starting. This is Maple 18. Okay. So here, this is the main interface of the software. And this is especially, you can see, it is especially for mathematicians. So here you can see these are the tools in which we can work. The mathematics is especially there. The calculus tool is there. And we can design also, we can do the curve fitting, we can solve the differential equation. And we can have do the discrete mathematics. Even we can do finance, and there is a separate tool for linear algebra and optimization. Then we have the scientific tools for natural science, signal processing, and there is a dedicated tool for statistics and probability and applications, and there is a separate one for visualizations. Okay, so these are the tools in which we can work, and here all the menus are same. You can see as you work in the other softwares. And here you see there is a list. So these are when we work on it. So when you are typing something and when you quickly need something, then we take the help of these menus over here. And now if you want to getting started your work in this, so you will find there are two documents. One is the new document and one is new worksheet. Okay. So basically, if you want to prepare a document, this is, you can also prepare document in with this software. You can start in the new document, and if you want to make a do some calculation, then you need to open the new worksheet. Okay, so before starting working in this software, I would like to show that how you can learn it yourself, at least. Means just if you want to have basic idea, either for your research or for teaching purposes. So just press this button, click on this button, getting started. Okay, when you click on it, so it pops out this kind of window. This is Maple portal, then getting started. And it started how to enter an expression, how to evaluate an expression, how to enter a complex number, how to enter a function, how to plot a function, how to enter a matrix. And there are some tutorials given of each one. Okay, so I'm again going on getting started. So in the getting started, you can go one by one here. Is it readable? Otherwise, I can increase the font.
Yes, sir. We can read.
Okay. Yes, fine. So here is the introduction of the Maple, that what you will find in the software. Then there is a entering expression, 1D and 2D mathematics. Then point and click interaction. And then there are commands, because when you study any software, then there are commands are given. So here is the list of the commands, and here is the help system if you want to take the help at any time. And this is the further points you can explore. The introduction to Maple, entering expression like this. So let's go one by one. Entering expression. Okay. This is the introduction. Working in Maple, starting the standard document interface, entering 2D mathematics, toolbar option, and this. Okay. Now I am come to the entering expression. This is about the what you will find executive groups, math mode or text mode, as I told in the beginning. And these are palettes. Palettes are like this. Okay. Left hand side is are palettes. Then symbol names and toolbar look icons. It is given here, and the commands. Okay. So let's start with the entering expression. Okay, so here you can see that how if you want to enter here like this kind of expression, then what you need to do. So here it is mentioned that what you have to do and what it will be result. So in the left hand side, you can go to these palettes. So most important palettes are, one is the expression, click on it. So you will see that here is, if you want to write a plus b, a minus b, a multiply b, a upon b, a raised to power b, a square root of a. Means if you want to make any actions of this, you can just click on it and you have the results. Then you have the calculus palette here. In calculus palette, there is how you can find the limit, how you can take the derivative, double derivative, nth derivative, and so on. Okay, so with this, and there is a command symbol. Just click on it. Then you have the this pi, exponential, iota, infinity sign, sum up sign, multiplication sign, union and interaction, greater than, larger than. All these you can just click here and you have the output. Then here is a matrix palette. How many rows and columns you want to add in the matrix, you can just enter here and click, then you have the output. Okay. So I am closing it and will start working in it. Okay, so let's go how to enter an expression. So this is how do an expression. So like this, I want to calculate 2x upon 5 plus 3x upon 7. Then what I need to do? Then this is the method is given, what the action I have to perform. And for the other, it is mentioned there. Okay, you can explore it. Okay, next is how to evaluate an expression. This for evaluation purpose, what you need to do after inserting the expression, you have to just press the enter button. Then you will have the output. Okay, it is mentioned there. Okay, so I think I let do the some practical things, and I'm opening the new worksheet from here. So this is the new worksheet. So what you need to do? Suppose I want to just start it with 2 plus 3. Okay, you have to write like this, and you have to enter the enter button. Then you will have the output 5 over here. So like this, you can do anything. So similarly, suppose I want to calculate 10 upon 5. Okay, so this is the result. I think I should make it a bit larger to make it visible clearly. Now I think it looks better. Okay, so similarly, you can do any calculation. Just you have to type over here. Then you can do any calculation. Suppose a raised to power b. I want to calculate a raised to power b. Suppose 2 raised to power. Then you can press this cap button. So cursor automatically takes it to the power of the number. And suppose 4. Then press the enter button. Then you have the result. Okay. So this is just the working idea that how we can do these things. And here is the square root. Suppose if you don't know the command of what you want to do, just go to this palette section and click on here. Then it will produce the specific things you want to calculate, and just insert your this. Suppose I want to take the square root of 60. Okay, so here will be the output. And similarly, now I'm coming to this differential things. I want to differentiate something, suppose. Differentiate with respect to x, and here you need to write the function. Suppose sine, and close it in bracket. So this gives you a differentiation of the function. So what you need to, what is the important thing? The important thing is what is the syntax of that command, how it can be written. Just if you don't know that what bracket has to be put in here, it is ordinary bracket or it is a square braces or something else, and how you have to write the sign. In sign, if I write the same thing with the capital X, I think it will not work like this. Sign and X. Okay, so it does not work. It gives you the same output. So this is the main thing we have to learn in this software, that what is the syntax, what we want to do. Okay. So similarly, this is the differentiation. Similarly, we can do the integration also. Here is the integration. Okay, this is the definite integral. I think first I should make it indefinite integral, then it will be better. This is the indefinite integral, and I want to suppose do the sine x. Okay, so this is the minus cos x. This is the integration. And if you have, you also have the definite integral, double integration, and definite double integration, and triple integration, definite triple integration. In this part, we have to specify the range also. Suppose 0, and this is suppose pi. Okay, so this pi I have written in capital P and I, pi. So if you integrate sine x, it will produce minus cos x, and if you put the limit 0 to pi, it gives the answer 2. So this is the very basic things you have to do. You can take the log, you can take the exponential one. All the trigonometric functions are there, and many things are there. You can also calculate the functions also, the value of the functions. You can solve the quadratic equation and many things. So let me go to those points. If you go just into the mathematics, then you will have all the mathematics things. So this is the mathematics thing. If you click on the algebra, then you can do any algebra. Algebra means calculating the roots, calculating the solving the polynomials, and other things related to the algebra. Like this, I want to do the factorization thing. Okay, so here are some calculators, inbuilt calculators are given, where you can just put your expression over here, and it will give you the factors here in the this form, in the numbers form, in the possible factor form, or in the expanded form. Okay, and if you want to use it on the command prompt, then you can go to the command like factor. Suppose I came to here, factor, and suppose I want to do this new calculation. Go to the new worksheet and do it factor. Okay. Factor. Then suppose I want to factor x square and minus 5x. It is always better to put a multiplicative sign. When you put the multiplicative sign, you need to press the star button, star on your keyboard. Then it will fix a dot. Dot means multiplication. 5x, and suppose 6 is there. I want to factor this polynomial. So this is the solution, x minus 2 and x minus 3. Okay. Okay, so this is about the factor, and if you want to explore the factor command, then you can also see this a factor collect. Collect means collecting the factors terms together. Then it will again produce the polynomial. Okay, so this is about the polynomial. Let's go further. Basically, you need what you need to explore. It's about the plotting command. For calculus, you can explore this tool. And the other, suppose, yeah, differential equation, which is very important. Solving a differential equation. We can solve a single differential equation as well as we can solve the systems of differential equation. Okay, like this. Let me give this example. Take a new worksheet. I am doing it. Okay, so this is suppose I have a differential equation. Suppose you want to write y double 2 in this, and you can write it in two ways. One is this, by using this palette button in the left hand side, which produce like this, and I can also use in the, as we write on the paper, like this, y dash and x. Okay, like this, and suppose plus 5. So this is the differential equation, and when you press the enter button, it is stored in this variable ODE. You can change the name of this variable, and when you use this command dsolve, like this. So this is the solution of this differential equation. Here what it is does mean, y double dash minus y dash x plus 5, and you don't need to put 0 equal to, because it understands that we are assigning this name as ODE colon equal to, so it means this is a differential equation, and there is a command dsolve. Okay, you can also write it. Suppose I am changing the name. It is, I am giving you the name OD1. Okay, OD1, and I want to solve it. Dsolve and OD1. Okay, so the same solution is coming here. See, this is e raised to power x and coefficient, because it is a second order differential equation, so it will involve two constants, C1 and C2. So C1 is coming with the e raised to power x, then plus 5x, and C2 is coming here. Okay, so you can solve the differential equation using this software. And if you have the boundary value problem, means if you have also the initial conditions. Okay, so initial conditions can be specified in this manner. You have to do initial conditions. You can give any name, either ICS or something else. Y0 suppose 1, and y prime. If I don't want to write in y prime like this, I have another way to write it. Y prime 0. This is suppose 0. Okay, press the enter button. These are the initial conditions. And I want to solve the same differential equations with these initial conditions. Then what I need to do, I will put the same command dsolve, and the name of the differential equation will be 1, and then comma ICS. ICS means with the initial conditions. Sorry. These two things has to be put it in the curly braces. When we have the multiple input, then these are put it in the curly braces. So now the differential equation is exactly solved. Exactly solved means I have the values of C1 and C2 also. So C1 is -5 and C2 is 6 according to these initial conditions. So we can solve the differential equations in any research. If you have any so differentiation we say is not possible to solve analytically, then we also have the numerical solutions. Runge-Kutta method, everything is inbuilt in it. You can just go further in it like this. we have the Laplace transform method. So what I have to do? I have to do this command. Okay, just if you add the method Laplace, it means we are going to solve this with the Laplace method. So I am going to solve it. The solve OD1. Or suppose OD the same differential equation which I insert in the earlier with the. So this because the solution is same, so it is giving the same solution. But sometimes if it is not possible to solve analytically or the direct method, then we can use a specific method. Like here we are using the Laplace method, Laplace transform method. Then we can use the series solution also of the differential equation. For series solution, the command is we have to just put this word series. Okay, then it will give you the series method. Then we have the system of equations. System of equations means we have multiple equations. Then we have to write. We have to both equations. We have to separate it by a comma. Then it will solve it. Like this. We have this system of equations. System OD. OD differential means ordinary differential equation. We have two equations. One is y prime is xt and x prime is x prime is xt. So these are two system of equations, and I want to solve it. Then there is a command. This. Okay, there is a command dsolve. One is system. System is the name what you have given to the your system of equation. Whatever the name you can give here. You can change the name. Suppose I want to make it OD2. Okay. So this is the solution of the system of equations. So this problem can be solved here. Similarly, you can plot the graph. Usually, I don't use the plotting the graphs with this Maple. I use Mathematica. So I think I should also discuss something about Mathematica also. But if you want to explore it, then you can go here. You can go into visualization. In visualization, this is how to plot a function. Like this. We can also use the search button. Let me make it small because these menus are not visible here. Suppose you can, if you don't have idea how to plot, just put the plot command over here. Okay, you will have this menu and you can go here. Okay, so this is about the plot. Suppose I want to plot this function. Okay, so here plot. I want to plot a function cos x by 2 plus sin 2x, and what is the range? 0 to 4 pi. Okay, so it produces like this. You can also put for the learning purpose, you can do the simple graph also. Like suppose I want to only plot cos x, and it is from minus 4 pi. Okay, so this is the cos x graph. Okay, any plot can be done. And then if you want to save it further or using your research paper or for some other purpose, you can just save it. Just right click it and go to the export and export. There are many formats are there: bitmap, PNG, GIF, JPG. And in research, when you write your research paper in LaTeX, then you need most of the time EPS format. So in EPS format, you need to go export it in encapsulated format, and you can save it where you want. Suppose I want to save it in my document, figure 1. You can save it here. So it is saved in my documents, this figure 1. So this is the figure. You can put many things over there, either the legends, the name of the axis, or you can also have the multiple plots in the one graph. You can do many things out there. That thing I will show you in Mathematica, because I use that in my research. Okay, so I'm closing this weapon. You can explore it further. I want to show you some practical things which I use in my research. So let's do some practical calculation. Okay, so this is, it contains some Mathematica file like this. This is another software, Mathematica, and here what actually we do some calculations related to the research work. Most of the time, actually, I need to solve the differential equation. This differential equation, let me show you how it looks like. It looks like this. As I was showing that I have sometimes some complicated things. So here the answer comes when you press enter with the shift button. Just press the shift button and don't leave it. Then press the enter button. Then it gives you the output. So here is a differential equation. Suppose a dot over a and this beta 1 plus a raised to power this, and I want to solve it. So the command is dsolve. So here dsolve is mentioned there, and then you ask it for which variable you want to solve. So I want to solve it for a, and what is the independent variable separated by comma. Is it visible now? The new screen. Hello, sir. Is my new screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir. Visible, sir.
Okay. Okay. I think there is another software, so I have to restart it. I think there is no need of restarting.
No, sir. You can continue.
Okay. So here, this is the differential equation, and here I found the solution. So this is the solution. Just press this with the shift button. Then here it comes the solution. So sometimes it's very complicated. So complicated solutions come, and sometimes I need to differentiate it. So we can just write D. D means differentiate, and put the expression and the independent variable T. Then it differentiate also. And then I'm coming to the plotting the graphs. Suppose this. Here is a very complicated function. This is a very complicated function, and I want to analyze it. That when the value of change, there are unknown variable k, and I want to check when I vary this variable k, then how it will be change the value of the overall function. So this is a complicated function. So there is a command, this manipulate. Okay, when you just do this expression, so here it all automatically gives some output. You can just go to that. Either you want to simplify, full simplify, whatever. Suppose I want to full simplify it. So this is the full simplification of it. And it also gives that where you want to take the derivative of that function or whatever. So here I'm just want to explore this function, that what will happen when if I change the value of k in this expression. Okay, so this is the range of z. This is the dependent variable in this function. From -1 to 2, I get that range. And for the values of k, I want to explore the behavior of 0 to 10, how it will behave. So it produces this kinds of graph, and it also gives you this kind of menu. Just drag it on the left and right hand side. You can have the analysis of your graph, that how it is changing with the value of k. If you also want to see that what is the value of k, just click on this plus button, then this value will come over here like this, from 0 to 10. I'm changing it like this. Okay, and if you want to do it automatically, just press this play button. Then you don't need to use the keyboard, or you don't need to hold the mouse or keyboard or anything. You can just sit and watch the behavior. So sometimes actually in research, many variables involved in the function, and we want to explore that how the value of these variable will change, then what will be the overall behavior of those functions. So we can do by the help of this software. And finally, if you want to use this figure for your research, then you can export in the same manner as I did. Let me show you another one. Okay, let me do this one. So I'm showing this new calculation. This is a very complicated expression involving double derivative upon again the denominator double derivative. If you want to differentiate or integrate it, you can do this. There is another window here for typing purpose only. This is for typing. If you want to insert any symbol over there, or any mathematical symbol and any this notations or expressions, you can use this palette over here. So like this, what you can do finally, I am showing some final output like this. This is a very complicated one, and here this is a single command. This is a single command. I want to plot. No, sorry, not this is. It is starting from here. Okay, so this is the single command. We have the expressions. This very lengthy expression. One is this before the comma. Then in the next line there is another function, and next line, third line, another function. In the fourth line, another function. And I want to plot it from t equal to 0 to 20. And I want to take the output just from 0 to 2 and -1 to 1. And I want to give the axis level on the x-axis t, on the y-axis omega EFF. And label style we can change. I want to make it thick and in the black color. And I want to also make the plot style like dashing or dot dashed or line one or whatever. And I also want to put the region. Region means I want to specify which graph is for which function. Then I can use this region, plot region, n equal to 3 for first function, n equal to 4 for second function, n equal to 5 for third, and n equal to 6 for fourth one. And region size is there. So this is the output. Here is the output. It comes like this. So here, x-axis, it is mentioned t over there, and y-axis, omega effective is mentioned there, and it comes a region over here, n equal to 3 for this blue line, solid line, and n equal to 4, this black one, which is dotted, dashed. And for n equal to 5, it is dot and dashed. And for n equal to 6, it is dotted on. Okay, so finally it comes, this is the output, and I can save it in any format. Save graphic as, it gives you the format. You can save it in PDF format or EPS format, GIF, JPG, and whatever. So these are very helpful software in research. And even we can see this to the students, that how this visualization, sometimes actually we brought the 3D graphs. It is very difficult to explain to the student that how we can see the picture in the 3D, 3-dimensional. So it is very easy to show them these 3D plottings. Let me show some 3D plottings here. Just go into the help and documentation center. Then you have the visualization and graphics. Because of this window, which is coming Zoom, I'm not able to see the main menu. Oh, yeah, now it is moving. Let me move it in another side. Yeah, it's fine now. Function visualization. And this is 3D plotting. So in the 3D plotting, you can have this kinds of graph. Suppose I want to plot. Let me make it bigger. Yeah. Okay. Suppose I want to plot this x plus y square graph. X is ranges in -3 to 3 and y is -2 to 2. And this is plot 3D. This is sine graph in the 3-dimensional. So we can show them to students. So this can also be used in the teaching purposes. Like this. This is another graph, x square plus y square minus x square minus y square. Okay, this is the range and these things. So this is very helpful in research and teaching as well. And I want to just lastly, quickly, I want to just finish with that how it comes in the output in the paper. So suppose this is a research paper, and I have included few graphics over there. Yeah. Okay, so this is a very the most nice one I'm going to show you. That you can have these kinds of output in your PDF file, in your research or whatever the article you are preparing. That this is the graph and this is the legend, and you can also give the title to the axis, the name of the axis on the x-axis or on the y-axis. Okay, and this is the legends, that which graph is for which values. So these are all I made it in the Mathematica software. You can also use anyone, either Maple or Mathematica. And many calculations, I am just using it for solving differential equation, integration, and plotting the graphics. But these softwares can be used for many purposes. As I saw you, this can be used for linear algebra, in statistics, in optimization, or in visualization, or some in engineering also. Many things are there now in CAD technology, when they design some machines, and many things are there. You can explore these softwares. Just what you need to do, you need to go into the help menu, and it will tell you the basic lesson, documentation center, that in which field these softwares can be used. This can be used for programming, mathematics, visualization, data manipulation, computational data, dynamic and interactivity. And you can you can also prepare your notebooks and documentation, and you can also develop the system interface and development. Okay, so I stop here. Thank you for your patience.
Okay, audience having any questions? Participants? Okay.
Someone is asking, please tell about the making the graph from equations. So I think I have already explained that part. Equations, actually from equations, you cannot plot the graph. Graph is plotted of the functions. So you need to solve first the equation. Somebody is asking link, please. So I think you can contact me personally. I am leaving here my email ID. You can contact me for the link, because I think I cannot explain in a very short time here. Yeah, you can also solve the simulation equations. But actually, this this talk was not actually for the teaching purpose. It was just was the purpose to give the idea that what the things you can do with these softwares. We can have sometimes, I think, some other session, this kinds of session where we can actually have some this kinds of program where we have full time of learning softwares only, where we can learn the calculation part, and some dissimulation also, and programming also, and visualization of the graph. Okay, so I think my email ID is not good here. It's went. Yeah, it is went there. It is my email ID, gtrcosmo@gmail.com. You can personally write an email to me, and we can discuss that what is your particular problem and how we can solve it. Yeah, okay. The next question, can we observe interaction of two surfaces? Absolutely. Actually, it was a shortage of time, so I could not discuss in the Maple, but it is very nice visualization. If you interact with me personally, it is a very nice 3D view where it is shown that the two surfaces are interacting. And the most important thing is, in schooling purpose, actually, to teach the student what we do, we teach what is the parabola, what is the hyperbola. But if we don't teach them, basically, or if we try to teach that, they don't get understand that from where it is coming. But where you have a cylinder and you are cutting it with some angle. So it depends which angle you are cutting it. If you are cutting with a particular angle, it comes to a parabola. And if you are cutting with a different angle, it can be a hyperbola. And if you are just cutting the cylinder without the edge, then it will be an ellipse. And if you are cutting in a different manner, then it can be a hyperbola. So that is all you can visualize with the help of the Maple as well as Mathematica. Unless there is a question, I can find how we can solve so that the interaction. If quickly I can. I think the application it must have. As you were asking that how you can do these few things are there, solving inequalities graphically. So this is related to the linear programming problem. You can do graphically linear programming problem.
Hello, sir. Are you able to hear me, sir? Hello.
Yeah.
What about the unified force of universe, sir?
Sorry, sir, can you repeat it?
Unified force
in
the universe. There is one more such theory, no, sir?
Actually, that theory is lacking. That's why this was the conclusion when I discussed that we don't have the theory which can work on the large scale and which can work on the small scale. So we don't have that theory so far. That theory is lacking. This is the research is going on to develop that kind of theory. Yeah, you are right. We don't have any theory for unified force.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any more questions?
I think there is no question now.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Valuable thoughts and spend time with us. The topic is very useful our participants, sir. I think sir given his mail ID. Anybody have any questions like they can ask directly with that mail ID. You can communicate, yes, sir.